what is going on in Israel? Because I see everybody trying to politicize this, and I see people taking sides. All I see is people getting killed. I see children getting killed. I see bodies, being carried to the street. What is there to do but offer prayers?
Here's the thing.
God.
We need somebody way smarter than me, way smarter than anybody in this room to explain this entire situation.
Damn, Chris. Chris is sitting there.
Sorry, man. Chris is really smart. Maybe he knows everything that's going on. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Do you feel confident to talk about it?
Talk to us,
You're
Chris.
a brave man, my boy.
Well, Chris is also Jewish.
What does that mean?
He knows what's going on. Chris is the first person I hit. I sent Chris the article, and I'm like, what are the global ramifications of this?
Well, the global ramifications are different. I think that you hit it on the head right here. There's a weird thing that's happening right now, and it's very confusing, where there seems to be a celebration of people that have been massacred, murdered, children that have been murdered, women that have been murdered. Innocent individuals. Whenever innocent people are killed, this is nothing to celebrate, nothing to be happy about.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly tragic and sad, whether that's on the Israeli side or the Palestinian side.
Exactly.
And the Lord knows it has happened on both sides, and it's disgusting in both ways. But I don't understand what's going on where people feel like this is something that they should celebrate. This is something we should be disgusted by as human beings. You never want to see innocent life taken, especially children. And then there's this weird justification that's being used, which is the occupation of Palestine, obviously, which is a horrendous, horrible thing. But killing a 7-year-old, like a 7-year-old has nothing to do with that occupation. A 7-year-old doesn't even know what the fuck occupation is. You have people's lives who are being taken from them that have no fucking clue what this occupation is. So you cannot celebrate that, and you cannot put that responsibility on them.
It's like the 7-year-old is the casualty of a war that's been going on way
and there's going to be more casualties
alive.
on the other side, way more on the other side, which is fucking tragic and disgusting and horrible. And anytime these innocent people on both sides are killed, it is disgusting. So there's this weird celebration around this that is incredibly uncomfortable for me. I think that we should all be saddened by this. When a fucking an innocent Ukrainian dies, we should be sad. When an innocent Russian dies, we should be sad. When an innocent Iraqi dies because we went in there for fucking weapons of mass destruction, we should be embarrassed. We should be sad. We should be heartbroken. Right. There are innocent children here being killed, and you see it every single day. You go on social media, and for some reason, there's people.
Could you explain
defending it and being it's just,
could you explain it to those people? Basically, like, would you celebrate if other people in another country were celebrating 9/11?
Exactly.
If you was just watching the news, and you saw these planes running to the towers, and you saw all of these innocent people running, and trying to go for cover, and you saw people jumping out of buildings, dying. How do you not have no empathy for that?
And then I can imagine what Jewish people are going through right now, where they're just like, we're sitting there like, why are people happy that this happened?
I don't get it.
Now, I understand what's going on the Palestinian side, where they're like, oh, now you talk about it. When our kids have been killed, when our kids have died and are innocent, nobody talks about it. Now you're talking about it. So I understand their frustration with that. I understand their frustration for the occupation. I understand their frustration for the situation that is Gaza and the West Bank right now. It's fucking heartbreaking.
I thought they was at war for 75 years. I thought they've been at war.
Yes, 100%.
So Chris, this is what I need you to explain to me.
But just real quick. So I also think that there is this side. There's also, while there are people that are celebrating what just happened, right? On one side, there are also people that are completely ignoring the circumstances that have led to something like this, right? It doesn't justify it at all. There's no justification for killing innocents. There's no justification for murdering children. Never, none. Case closed.
I agree.
None, okay? That being said, to ignore the situations that cause these types of things to pop up is also willfully ignorant.
So you mean they ignore the last 75 years?
No, nobody's ignoring it, but they're pretending like this is an isolated incident. Like, how the hell could this happen? And it's like, It should never happen. There's no justification, right? Ever. There's none for what happened. But to ignore the course of events that led to this is also unfair. So I'm like so confused by the reaction to this, but I imagine there's just so much anger and vitriol on both sides because of what they've both experienced, the members of their family that they both lost. It's fucking painful and heartbreaking. But you would hope that you could go on fucking Instagram and not see celebrations of kids that have been, of situations that have murdered kids for both sides. I don't want to see either side celebrating. I think that's bare minimum. As humans, we could just not do that today.
That's what's confusing to me, because if this has been going on for 75 years and then this happens and then I saw Israel declare war, I'm like, well, I thought they was already at war.
Yeah, but I guess maybe, I don't know. Now, you want to fill us in?
Well, I mean, I would start by saying that I agree with Andrew with what you just said. I mean, I think one of the most kind of dangerous things about this moment is I'm seeing a lot of people basically saying you have to pick a side.
Why?
There is no middle. And I'm here to tell you, I'm in the middle, right? Like, it's very dangerous to say that, like, you're either on this side of it or that side of it.
Well, but middle is weird, right? It's
okay, maybe middle's the wrong word.
Yeah, because I think middle is where it seems like you're okay what Hamas just did.
No, of course not. I mean,
what Hamas just did is horrendous crime against humanity. Cannot do it.
It's right? all I know is I'm watching the TV on mute, and all I see is bloodshed and murder. I don't know who's who.
Never justified.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is fucked up.
Never justified.
And then somebody says, this is happening in Israel. That's fucked up. This is happening in Palestine. That's fucked up.
It's all fucked up. And I think the danger is this brings out the most tribal instincts in people.
Absolutely.
And I'm guilty of that. Look, I've always considered what's happening to the Palestinian people to be a form of occupation or even apartheid in the most extreme.
It's not even a form. It is.
Yeah, right. Like I've always felt that way. And even when...
Which is tragic.
Which is tragic. And it makes me very uncomfortable to be associated with that as Jew. I mean, one of the reasons I've never gone to Israel is I feel uncomfortable about the situation.
And to keep in mind, there are a lot of Jews that share your sentiments about this. In Israel. There are Jews that do not...
Israel was a fractured society up until this weekend.
I think that's what...
Why?
Because basically, I mean, not to get too into the specifics, but the current government, Netanyahu's government, is very right-wing and has really doubled down on the far right, what I'll call extremists in the Israeli population. And the left, there's a fight over the judiciary, but it's really more like the struggle of the left versus the right.
And there's Jews are like, we don't want that.
We don't want that. I mean,
war. We don't want this.
I mean, we were talking about it within the context of Drake earlier, but like I feel that contrarian impulse as an American Jew, because I feel that if every Jew in America just kind of says we support Israel 1,000%, that's dangerous, because the people running Israel are humans and they make mistakes and they institute bad policies, and there has to be a voice within the Jewish community that's pushing back at times against that. And I think that's healthy for Jews. I don't think that's a self-hating Jew or anti-Semitic. I think that's part of a natural balance of things.
No, I think that you can be critical of your governments. People are not their governments. I'm critical of so much shit that the American government is doing right now.
That's the beauty of America.
Exactly.
And it had been the beauty of Israel.
So I think the tricky thing, obviously, when you're talking about Israel specifically, is they're like, do you support Israel? The knee-jerk reaction, obviously, for Jewish people is, do I support a Jewish homeland? They go, well, yes. But do you support Israel can also come with every foreign policy that's attached to it. Do I support America? Do you know someone who loves America more than me?
Yeah,
no.
but you may not agree with America's current administration. You might not agree with America's current policies or legislation.
By supporting America, I'm holding it accountable. You don't support America if you're not holding it accountable. If America is falling or failing the values that it's supposed to uphold, then you're not supporting America. You're supporting this bastardized version of itself. I don't support that. I support the dope shit about America.
And American democracy.
Absolutely.
They gave us a constitution and said, this is what it is.
And it better work for everybody. And if it doesn't, I'm vexed.
That's right.
So I can see that there is somebody that believes that there is a Jewish homeland, believes in the state, but is also critical of what is going on right now in Gaza, what has been going on in the West Bank. And all of my friends that are Jewish or Israeli have that sentiment. What happens is once there's a bomb drop, once there's family members that are murdered, it's tribal, like you said. It's the second we're attacked, like let's say me and Alex are on the street, second somebody punches one of it, it's not like, well, what led to this? It's go time.
But that's right, though. I think human nature, if that's your natural human reaction,
Yes.
that's right.
Yes.
Who wouldn't be like that?
I mean, I can walk you through my reaction on Saturday.
Talk to
right?
me.
I woke up, unprecedented, missile strikes from Gaza. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, well, this is what is going to happen when you have people locked into a situation like this. This is inevitable. And that's my knee-jerk reaction, right? Then I start seeing the footage, the images of the AK-47s in the mouths of someone who looks like my grandmother. The kids, my cousin's in Israel with his family, right? The family slaughtered that look exactly like my cousins. You can go on and on.
I saw them parading this woman's body through. So I don't know if she was
young
dead or
girls that
alive.
look like my
dead.
nieces and nephews, clearly being abused. And, I'm ready to join the fucking IDF.
Yeah,
At that
exactly.
moment. I'm like, let's go. And it's a very dangerous moment because of that. Because even someone like myself, who's always been, way to the far of one extreme on that, now feels like I gotta defend, I gotta fight, and you
Because
don't.
it's life or death. And in life or death, you can't be rational. You have to do what you have to do to survive. So there's
It don't
no
matter
time.
who's right or who's wrong when you're trying to survive.
It's life or death.
Straight up. It don't matter, who started what, how it started.
No.
When you're trying to survive in that moment, let's go.
Exactly.
Gotta survive.
But then the rational part of me has to step back and say, this is a life or death moment. How did we get to this life or
But
death
that's
moment?
a privilege of being in New York.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's also a choice. It's not just a privilege.
Sure,
it's a
sure,
choice.
Sure.
I wanted to go live on a kibbutz in Israel after I graduated college, and I decided not to because of this reason.
Yep.
I was like, I don't want to get caught up in this shit. And maybe that's a privilege to live in America and,
And to what you were saying also about like the emotion that goes through in these moments where you're not able to add context to the situation, it just further drives the rift, right?
Right.
So it's like now there can't even be a situation where people are coming to the table and there's this negotiation, there's this conversation. I mean, to be fair, there's no negotiating with Hamas. Hamas has one clear goal. They're like, no more Jews.
No.
So it's like,
I feel bad for the people because
they're
they are
held hostage
being
under to Hamas as
they're
well.
being manipulated by forces. The far right in Israel manipulates the Israeli people. Hamas, which I guess you could call far right, in Palestine and Gaza and what have you. Like, I can't speak for.
And it's easy for Hamas to manipulate the people within Gaza because of the dire circumstances that they're living in. The more difficult your circumstances, the easier it is to motivate you for something better, right? I mean, like
I don't see how, as a human being, you can't put yourself in those shoes and be like, that's fucked up.
yeah, man, this is just so tragic. It's just so tragic.
I think the moral of the story. Well, I don't know if there's a moral to the story, but from an American perspective, just from a people's perspective, I'm really talking about social media right now. You don't have to have an opinion on this. You don't have to
I can't watch
plant a
this.
flag.
No. You gotta take that down. No.
It's okay just to say it's tragic and
Or you
feel
can
conflicted and feel sad. I mean, that's
I think any normal person has multiple opinions about it.
Sure.
I think a normal person would be like, listen, it's horrendous what the Palestinians have gone through and have to go through. Right? That's horrendous. And then it is downright disgusting and awful to murder innocent fucking children on both sides, no matter what.
That fucking headline Taylor just put up, I'm like, they're showing that shit?
Yeah.
That shit said Hamas threatens to kill.
For every bomb that's dropped.
Kill somebody for every bomb that's dropping. The girl screaming. Oh my fucking God.
This is what has
so
me
you
really.
can feel upset. This is
the most concerning part. Israel in particular doesn't play when it comes to hostages, or they'll go to the mat even to get the bodies of a soldier who's gotten killed. The idea that there are 150 Israeli citizens in Gaza right now, and that my concern is not only what happens to these people, but is it broadcast essentially, because they've taped a lot of this stuff.
Well, it already is, right?
Those
They're showing it on
images, outside of the human cost, those images, it's going to do a lot of damage to a very delicate situation. And that's when I start worrying on a global scale. Like, what could this turn into?
You think people will start doing stuff in America?
I'm concerned about that.
You think Palestinians here will start trying to do stuff to Jewish people? Jewish people here start stuff
I'm
trying to do stuff
concerned
to
about that.
Palestinians?
I'm
they've
definitely
already
concerned.
been fighting, man. Like you've seen it. I think it was Toronto. You saw it in
Toronto,
Times Square.
I mean,
It's like
Israeli tourists were killed in Egypt. Nobody covered it because it's
right.
lost in this. But Egyptian
Why?
police officer shot up a bus of Israeli tourists the other day.
What?
Yeah.
No, I don't need. Was it a bus or they were on a private tour guide and they shot the tour guide and both of the tourists?
I thought they were in the bus, but the pictures made it. I don't know. But suffice to say, they killed a bunch of Israeli tourists. This has the potential to go to a lot of really dangerous
And
places.
once it starts happening in those other places, man,
It's very complicated. You never know where the truth is. You're kind of always in the dark on this.
And you're not gonna find the truth through war.
No.
Through the midst of war.
Oh, no.
Because right now it's just all about survival.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? All right.